Okay, guys, so we're live right now, but I just have this opening here. I don't know if you can see it. It's actually our live stream. So, well, no, you can just look on Skype here if you can see my. I'm just watching this as a reference here. So right now they're just watching the live stream. So I'm going to switch us over live, and then we're going to be right into the whole smack dab of it. It's literally a stream, exactly. And there's already 40 people online, so I guess we should jump into it. So, ready to rock?
Literally.
All right, here we go, guys. We're on.
All right.
Hey.
Going on live?
We are live, yeah. How's everybody doing?
Hi.
Well,
Awesome.
how are you?
Doing fantastic. So I guess...
You should probably introduce yourself because no one, I mean, everybody knows who we are. But they don't know who the hell you
that's
are.
okay,
Just kidding.
It's, we're just here to talk about you guys. This, after all, is Toque Talk Tuesdays at 2. So even though we're about 10 minutes late. 10 minutes late.
That's awesome.
10 minutes late for Toque Talk Tuesdays at 2. So...
Toque Talk Tuesdays at 2:10.
Exactly. So I guess everybody wants to know, what have you guys been up to? How's everybody holding up in quarantine, isolation? What are we doing with our spare time these days?
Where is everybody? Just so everybody can mention, Darren, you're in Winnipeg, but where's everybody else?
That's Dave Sawicki, our director of our music video. He's also in Winnipeg, I assume, are you?
Yep. I am indeed. Yeah.
Corey and Shane will both be in Los Angeles. Just a second. Corey is at... and Fitz and I are both in Las Vegas. So, but this is, we may as well be on Mars and Jupiter and wherever else because this is just as, distant in its own way.
Yeah, how you guys been holding up? How's the, going from playing nonstop and doing, all these exciting things to just being held up in your households? How's everybody holding up?
I'm having a blast. I think my wife's going to kill me, but I'm okay.
Are you wearing those masks every day, Todd, behind you?
I get in full, late era Elvis where I dress in a full, Darth Vader costume and walk around the house spitting. This one's huge, actually. Honestly, I struggle as I might. I managed to get in about 12 hours of TV a day, play some guitar, get creative with the guys via Skype, and that's pretty much been the brunt of it. Honestly, it's like I think everybody's in the same boat. It's just trying to keep busy and keep, Shane's always playing the drums, so I keep following him and going and thinking oh man, I should probably be doing something because Shane is still being very active and productive.
Yeah, seems like it. Always on something on the go.
Mm-hmm. So we're showing off.
We're trying to make use of our time while we still have studios.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
We'll have a little mobile rig in the van down by the river.
Exactly.
And by mobile rig, you mean one of those cassette decks with remember to press play and record at the same time.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, we've been promoting this now for about a week. So, of course, we've got a number of people wanting to know. And, of course, we got some questions coming in. So we'll just kind of feed this through.
Oh, by the way, that's Darren Steen from Black Frog Media. He's not wearing any pants, but he's here in charge of this entire thing.
Well, I thought this was pants optional.
Well, it's always pants optional. Before or after the quarantine, it was always pants optional.
No doubt. Shane, where'd you go on me there, buddy?
I
see him.
Shorts?
I see Shane.
I see Shane.
Wearing your Bermuda shorts.
Quite attractive.
What are you wearing today downstairs, Corey?
I've got
This
jeans.
is a family show. Always a family show.
Yeah.
That Shane.
It's a Manson family show, unfortunately.
But I do have my what's it say? It's giver time. It's giver time.
I think they spelt it incorrectly though, didn't they?
Spelled it wrong, but that's okay. But I got this from my niece Allie. I think she's watching. Thanks, Allie.
Well, Corey,
And my sister
we've been
Kim.
back and forth on that a number of times. So, I mean, what is the correct spelling?
Allie's wondering where her shirt is. What the problem is right now.
I think the correct spelling is whatever you see the most, whatever you can find the most. So in this case, I think the way that we spelt it on our album, because we did a bit of research right ahead of time, what's the best way to spell it? But if you start getting into past participles and all that kind of stuff, like we really gave her, or we're giving her tonight, then we have a major problem because me and Darren really disagree on that.
Well, if you want to get technical about it, I would assume the expression comes from give her, like give her shit, or whoops, am I allowed to say that? No, I just got kicked off the thing. Right. But so I would assume it was like how you have it spelled on our album is perfectly so that's probably acceptable as well. But I would assume the word give, G-I-V-E, because you have G-I-V-E-R, so G-I-V isn't really technically a word, is it?
No.
I think we're spending way too much time on it.
We'll get to the bottom of it.
Apparently this came from a store in BC. It was called the Giver Store. Everything in there was Giver merchandise. So they built a whole brand off of this spelling of it. So
I have some of those too. There's like a Guns N' Roses GNR type logo that's Giver, and an AC/DC logo with Giver. Yeah, the same company does all those. They're amazing.
I think I always lend my opinion to the classic Fubar movie, where of course all of us Canadians get the the correct term. So that was my reference when we were talking about it. So you always got to go to those guys.
A lot of people probably watching aren't aware of the Fubar movie, which is a Canadian. Calgary, I think, is the proper area it comes from. But the prairies where we come from, these guys are from Winnipeg. I'm from Saskatchewan. Shane is from Alberta. And it seems to be a fairly universal language throughout the prairies anyway. And Fubar is a ridiculous movie that is really funny,
Absolutely.
And you should check it out.
After this, make it your homework. The sequel is really
yeah. Sequel, yeah.
Somebody online just said, I think the Canadian spelling is giveur with the French kind of GIV''EUR.
Wow.
Definitely in Quebec.
That sounds way classic.
Well, that ties into my next question here, because somebody online, Tatiana Rose, wants to know who named the band Toque and why.
I remember we were just tossing things around, and Corey had the Toques. I think Jody came up with the Toques or something like that, and I think we just said, well, what about?
I think Jody came up with Toque heads or Toque.
Oh yeah, something like
we had a whole list of possible names.
Yeah, they were all ridiculous.
Yeah, I still think my favorite my favorite is still the Fun Ken Wrights Band.
I love that.
That's such a deep reference. But Toque,
Fun Ken Wrights.
Does anybody have a toque handy that they can point out? I mean, this is technically a beanie, they call it in America, but a toque is usually has a pom-pom on top. In Canada, it's a very Canadian reference, and literally only in Canada. I have one over there, but I can't reach it because I'm stuck behind my... there you go. That's a toque. The TeleMiracle.
There you go.
Yeah.
In Canada, that's a very
courtesy of TeleMiracle. Courtesy of TeleMiracle.
China, Saskatchewan. That's a toque.
It is a toque.
It's just a very Canadian... Because we built an entire thing based on Canadian music, it seemed like we had to have a very Canadian name.
Makes perfect
sense. So there you go. It also means,
I
think Fitz and I came across the idea that it means touch in maybe Portuguese or Spanish. Yeah.
Yeah.
And talk.
That's a cool name. Cool name for a band.
So that's maybe why someone from down there might ask, why did you name your band Touch or Talk? Well, because it's actually a Canadian reference, and it's a slang word. Is it really a word in the language? I don't know, but sometimes T-O-Q-U-E could be spelled. I mean, there's a million arguments, but
also T-O-U-Q-E.
Right.
As well. Yeah. It's kind of funny because it's one of those, I kind of like it because it's like a word like rush or kiss, like just kind of a word. So Toque comes off kind of like that, as opposed to Led Zeppelin or The Who or, the something. It's just kind of like one word, Toque, boom.
But I know a lot of people who don't know the name or how to say it will be like, "Is your band called Toque?" And it's like tongue in cheek, but
all my American friends say Toque, which sounds way kind of more, I don't know, like we're being really crazy, drug talk. No, it's literally a hat to keep your head warm.
Japanese pronounce it turuku.
what?
So we have to invent a kanji so they can actually see what the actual pronunciation is.
Wow.
Oh, that's great, James.
And then after you explain that, you have to explain to everybody what a kanji is.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just a
James,
kanji.
can you just talk to us in Japanese? Because I just do love when you just go into full conversation with people.
Maybe ask me a question.
Shane's pretty good at the Japanese. How about I ask you, friends in Canada that could come up with a kanji for Toque?
Hi. Mochiron.
There you go. Perfect. That's actually like perfect because I know a ton of Japanese people, Canadian Japanese. They might already have some kind of thing.
Well, we could manufacture something that's kind of cool, with two kanji. So I'm working on that right now.
So given the Canadian homeland here, somebody just asked online, Megan Ketchison, all of you guys live in the U.S. now. What do you miss most about Canada?
Darren Steen.
Coffee crisp.
Snowshoeing.
And Dave Swing.
Oh,
Coffee crisp.
Yeah.
Coffee crisp, sure.
Hickory stick.
This is all Canadian junk
You
food.
can't order that on Amazon now. I mean, you can ship anything anywhere, right?
I miss Cuban lunches.
Yeah.
Remember those square chocolate bricks?
Remember,
Cuban
they're still
lunch?
at every grocery checkout here. Yeah.
Are you serious?
My
That's
my
amazing.
the salty potato chip, regular with the melted chocolate.
Yeah.
They're awesome.
Yeah.
Let's have
Wow.
you can make a long list because all your English friends, when English people go places, they bring like tons of weird English food with them because they miss it. So whenever we talk about it, there's a long list of ketchup chips, Old Dutch specifically ketchup chips, Old Dutch, Arrow bars. There's a long list of specific junk food that when you would go down into the States, you'd walk into the candy bar aisle, chocolate bar aisle is the Canadian, and it would be completely alien. Like what is all this stuff, Because in Canada, we have a specifically different bunch of junk food to enjoy. I like that. That's our major difference is eating poorly is the difference we see from country to country.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, we got another question here. This one goes to Todd. Kaylin Provo. Todd, how do you approach a song sung by a female vocalist? Vices.
Yeah, I actually dress in drag to record it for the full method effect of it. But that's just something I do for myself and for Corey or whoever happens to be in the studio. Honestly, we had to kind of adjust a couple of keys because girls naturally have higher voices. So a couple of the songs we dropped down a couple of steps or whatever. And but I mean, you kind of just sing it, and you just kind of try and make it your own. I think that's true of all the songs. You kind of have to make it your own when you're doing some kind of cover song anyway. But like with Alanis or Toronto, the Darby Mills song, the Headpin song is pretty much the same key. So, but that's different. That's that AC/DC screaming thing. So that kind of works how it is. But yeah, that's a good question. Kaylin Pro from Hamilton, Ontario.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
I got to add to that because Corey and I were there together when you recorded the Darby Mills "Don't Make You Feel" song, and I remember you were a little under the weather that day, and you still fucking nailed it.
I don't remember that. Wow. Yeah, that.
Yeah, you were kind of like, I don't know, my voice is a little tired, and I'm not feeling. And Corey and I were like, come on, you can do this. And of course, you just nailed it. So.
Well, I appreciate that. It's kind of like one of those things where you're, you just kind of, there's no real. You either are going to scream that out or you're not. And it's kind of like if you grew up singing AC/DC like I did in the clubs, it's sort of Darby's sort of in that. I mean, I couldn't even touch what Darby does, but it's sort of my own version of that. You know what I mean? Headpins.
So Corey, you're kind of at the Toque Central there, because your studio is kind of where most of our recording has gone down.
That's exactly right.
And if you notice above him, if you notice above Corey, you'll see Steve Austin, the $6 Million Man, and Bigfoot, as played by Andre the Giant.
And guess who gave me those?
Did I? I didn't give them to you, did I? Brent Fitz?
Brent
I did.
Fitz gave them to you.
Got a great one from Brent too. I should go grab it.
Look at that.
What did you get from Brent Fitz? Steve Austin, Lee Majors.
You know how it is. We all gift each other stuff that we already like ourselves. So who doesn't
I like how the Bigfoot just basically looks like Leslie West from Mounted.
I don't even know who that is, but it's funny.
Darren, I wish you wouldn't blur the back of yours because you have cool stuff behind you.
I'm just blurred to you, buddy. Everybody else gets to see the new, the summer tank tops that were supposed to be the hit, as we can see here.
Uh-oh, I got a cavalcade of dogs that just came in.
So we're hoping, here's to hoping summer gets back in full swing. So.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Oh, nice.
From Brent.
Jerome
McGinley. I should put that right here, actually.
So we're getting flooded with this question here, and I won't even try to attempt all the names, but everybody, of course, is asking, when are we going to hear some new music?
Well, we are actually, believe it or not, working on music remotely, which is, I think it's got to be a first for everybody in this thing. I've never really dealt with anything this extensive. But we've been coming up with ideas and working towards a plan. I mean, we were working towards a plan anyway before all this came down. And it took us a minute or two to realize how extensively long this particular social distancing was going to be. And then it just sort of became like, hey, what are you doing? And we basically do what we're looking at right here. The four of us just get on and talk through some ideas and try and nail some things down. And as you see, Shane has his own studio. Corey has his own studio. So they're cooking up things for us to later on. Then what they do is they put it onto cassette and they mail it to me on a 90-minute TDK, and I put it in my Tascam 4-track. No, I'm kidding. But basically, the idea is just to get things kind of moving along as we do this. So, and there's a lot of very exciting stuff. I'm actually really excited about what we're coming up with, and I'm just kind of eager and getting itchy to kind of get going on all of this personally. But
I've been listening to new stuff all day, just to let you guys know.
There you go. See, Corey's living in the future. Whatever I'm doing, he's always in the future somewhere. I don't know.
All I have to do is press the space bar on my keyboard right now, and everybody can hear the new stuff.
There we go. I'm sure that's going to be flooding now.
Wow, that's a tease. That's a tease. You should just go bunk, bunk.
And I'm taking the highest bidder.
There you go. Yeah. So somebody else asked again, apologize for pronunciation. Gabriella Ferreria, what's your favorite song to perform and why?
Go ahead.
I got to think about it for a second.
I got to think about it too.
I always like playing Tom Sawyer.
Yeah. Rush, exactly.
Well,
actually,
mostly because I like to look back at Shane when he gets to do all the drum stuff, and it's not me on drums. It's actually cooler to Shane play it.
And I'm sweating because I got Brent coming over with a bass. I'm like, shit, I got to nail this part.
It's like a teacher-student thing for every single scenario, right?
Oh,
Jedi.
Yeah, it's just we both know the parts so well. It's just kind of like we egg each other on in those kind of songs.
So again, here's another question we probably got about 14, 15 times. Outside of the ones that you've already done, what are we looking at for upcoming songs? Anything that you guys haven't touched yet that you'd love to record?
There's always lots of ideas for things. I don't know how keen we are. That each guy has ideas of what he'd like to do. There's a Sheriff song Corey always wants to cover that I think would be really rad. Sheriff is a Canadian band. When I'm with you.
Alias.
It was a big hit in the States. And then it went on
That's in the Guinness record.
Longest.
Everybody's checking their headphones now.
Freaking out.
Thank you, Corey, for singing that in the proper key too.
It was, right?
Was it?
It was.
Was
Yeah.
it like Arnold Lanny?
Arnold Lanny.
Yeah.
And he went on to go.
Frozen Ghost.
Frozen Ghost. There you go.
With
Yeah.
Phil X.
That's right. Phil X was in there.
Yeah.
That's right.
Phil
Phil
X
X from Bon Jovi.
Mm-hmm.
You know what?
Nice.
There's a lot of Canadian songs. Eyes of the Stranger by Paola's I Love. High School Confidential by Rough Trade. We've never done a Triumph song. That's an ongoing conversation about Triumph. I don't even really know where we land on that. But there's so many songs that I love by Canadian bands that we case of like figuring that all out.
Linda, here's a good one. Here's a good one for you. Yeah, some Haywire. Linda Malarski asked, any particular reason why you guys don't do any Tragically Hip?
Well,
So who wants to take that one?
Well, we did. We recorded a Tragically Hip, and we gave it away as a free download when we released the album. So that really, that's So we did, and we do.
It would exist. And
Well, we
it's
actually,
on.
somebody pointed out to me, a journalist once pointed out to me, he says, you specifically cover music from a very specific era of Canadian rock. And I never really thought about that until he mentioned it. I go, he's right, between like a 5-year, maybe 8 period. And it's kind of what we focus on is it isn't just Canadian rock. It's actually the Canadian rock we grew up on. So although something like Alanis kind of sticks out as modern-ish, which is funny because that song is what, 30 years old, 20 years old, I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, we really kind of more focus on Kim Mitchell and Street Heart and all the stuff that we grew up on. And that's what Toque really, the whole thing was sort of built on that. It's not really about like, now we're going to cover, I Mother Earth and Our Lady Peace and the Tea Party, we love all those bands, but that's not what Toque was. Toque was more like us covering the songs that we, as kids, grew up loving. You know what I mean? Is that the most politically correct answer of all time? Thank you.
Somebody down south,
well done.
Corey, said that, they thought they sounded like their tornado warning, the test pattern when you were screaming there. Yeah, exactly.
Sorry about that.
Go and check their headphones now or get an ear test. Yeah, exactly.
Dogs everywhere. Dogs everywhere howling.
Oh, that's fantastic. We got lots of other questions here. Do you all have loved ones or pets to help pass the time with? And do you do lounge room performances to entertain them? Yeah.
Oh, yes. I got 4 right now. Corey, where's your dog?
If you're watching, Jody, send them out. My wife's watching inside the house.
I spent a lot of time with these guys right here.
That's your pets.
Yeah.
Actually, Todd has babysat our dogs a number of times.
I have.
Dog set.
Oh, mine are having
They are the
They
best.
love you guys.
They got
So who's
Star
that?
Wars.
Introduce us, Brent.
This is Steve. He came from the rescue. So we already had the name Steve.
Animals with people name is great. Yeah.
Steve. Yeah. It's a very personal.
I do have.
I don't know. Mike. Oh, look at this.
Kitty.
Cat.
Kitty,
Who's that?
kitty.
Look at that kitty.
Dave, I've met that cat. That is the coolest cat ever, Odin.
He's a pretty
Gorgeous.
cool little getting
Odin.
Yeah.
Wow.
Odin.
Like,
Doesn't want
like
anything.
Podcast.
Paw.
Podcast.
Those dogs.
So that was a 2-part question. So the other part of the question, this was from Anna Goodwin, said, also, how do you guys come up with concepts for your videos? Or do you just leave that to your producers?
We do.
Dave, you want to field that one?
They reject.
I think
Just
Dave should
usher you
answer
guys
that
out of a
one.
bar and bring you down
wasn't
to a dingy watering station and say go.
Yeah. It's kind of like, it was. What's going on?
Dave, you want to add anything to that?
He didn't hear the question.
He didn't hear the question. He had his ears out.
My buds were out. What was
He said, how do you guys come up with concepts for the videos? Or video in this situation? They haven't seen the next one yet.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, the next one is just a...
Don't give it away now.
I'm not getting it away.
Well, don't talk about the new one. Talk about the old one.
The old one. So you guys probably sussed out the location, I assume. Let me just walk you trying to do this. You guys had an idea of the location,
yeah, we
like
down
that
there a number
watering
of times
station?
before you guys got to town, so we knew we had a 48-hour window with you here. So
Yeah.
Is that where you guys would go drinking after school? Kind
the
of
old
thing?
watering hole. Yeah.
Abandoned water station.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like a great location, great backdrops, and you bring a cool band in there and light it up, and kind of a just feel really fortunate to have gotten into that space and shoot it there. But it was kind of one of those, it just lended itself so well to so many visuals and to different, I mean, you could just do anything in there, right? So it was kind of.
That's awesome. It's kind of it's having the talent that you have to be able to just look at a space like that and go like, let's put a rock band over there in the corner and see what happens. It's like, that's what's so cool about that.
Yeah, and I mean, we spend so much time, like, especially myself, just like, blocking shots and going like, hey, where am I going to put, Fitzy and Odd and Tori and like what we're doing, like moving stuff around and getting all the, the top end of it kind of shot and just playing around and having fun, and it was it just kind of all fell into place. It's
Hey, did you film? I think I already know the answer, but you kind of filmed it with one camera, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, tell them how I got short with you.
Did you?
How many goddamn times do we have to do this?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I was like,
was,
he's like, okay, let's do it again. And this is after like 8 hours of giving it 100% every single time. He's like, yeah. And he looked at me confused, and I'm like, seriously? We got to do this again? You don't have enough yet?
you guys were real troopers. I know we went till 1 a.m, but we were supposed to start at 10, and you guys didn't show up until like 1 or 2. So
no,
exactly.
Really?
It's our fault. No, I agree. You should all check out Dave's band, Jet Set Saddle, Winnipeg, or a great band that Dave was in. Do you guys ever still do stuff? Your band?
We do. We actually have a show booked for the summer, but with the whole COVID-19 stuff going on, I don't think it's going to happen. So it's going to be
how long has it been
postponed? Well, we played a gig last summer in August for the October. It was awesome just to hit the stage.
Go on YouTube and find Jet Set Saddling. They're a great band.
I'm also working on one of my songs now.
When do we get to see your new video?
Soon. I'm thinking about I don't know, couple weeks or so, but it's a little bit challenging because I'm shooting it all myself and I'm in it and directing and kind of an edit, basically. And
that's so awesome.
I have some help and here and there, but for the most part, I'm like moving the camera with my foot and doing quick pans and kind of trying to make.
Maybe you can send me when you're done. Make sure you send me the VHS of it so I can really actually look at it.
Exactly. VHS, perfect. Or maybe Betamax.
Now, Dave, I don't know if maybe I'm the only one privileged enough,
Betamax,
but have you shown
slow down.
these guys the B-roll footage that you sent me? Yeah.
Oh, for my video?
It's classic. It's classic.
It's classic Bulldog for sure.
We talked about the video for Never Enough down at the watering station, and I still can't believe that we came out of there with no injuries, given the fact that there was all that.
Well, you had injuries. You got cut up by the drone.
Correct, but.
Well, that's right. Yeah, there was a drone.
Yeah.
That was
okay, so with minor injuries, it always just reminded me of that old Canadian commercial where that guy was flying around and he says, I'm a robot. I can put my arm back on. Stay safe. Remember? So.
Oh yeah.
Astro.
My name is I'm Astro.
The old classic Canadian.
Yeah.
So you guys want to show everybody the new video? Should we segue to that? I mean, just hang tight here. We're just going to split screen here. Is this something?
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
who?
Yeah. So how does that work? We all
No,
go
you
away
just
while
hang
the
on.
video
Everybody
plays.
else will see the video, and then we'll come back to you right here. So you guys just stay where you are.
Can I go get a coffee while this is happening, or
No,
are they
no,
going to
no.
see me
As
get up
long as you got pants on, right?
and go get a coffee?
All right.
There's
So who
the
wants to
catch.
introduce it?
Yeah. I guess I can. As directed by Dave Sawicki, we played multiple shows at. We played. Was it a two-nighter we played at in Winnipeg?
Yeah.
A great club. That's what we do. And so we wanted to do we shot a live version of our existing only original single, Never Enough for You. And it turned out fantastic. And our intention was to have put it out in order to support this upcoming run of dates that's happening. But because a lot of that is giant question mark, and because we're sitting here in stasis, we figured, like, why not put this thing out and let people have something to entertain them while we're all sitting at home.
Yep.
Does anybody else want to add anything to that?
Totally. I just wanted to put out a big shout out to Katie, Raheem, and Adelia for operating the other cameras and just making it work, because I couldn't be in everywhere at once. So they were super awesome. Man, the locked off cams, and Raheem doing some stuff stage, and as well as Howard and Aiden for their technical expertise, like recording all the tracks on tools, and I mean, that was amazing. So, and you'll see Aiden's performance.
Right,
well, I'm not
well,
going to give it away. There's some stuff.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. All right. Well, here we go. Hang tight, guys. We'll
It'll
be
be,
right back.
But
Oh yeah. I just
The tender moment.
That looked fun.
First of all, Dave, Dave,
Hi, Dave.
well
as
done.
always, sir. Yeah. It was only like 3 years in like CGI to make us look human. It was industrial light and magic.
None of that.
Hey, wait a second. That's the biggest question mark of all is, and it's hard. It's got to be hard for anybody to know if they're going back to whatever job. I can only speak for myself. It's like my whole thing is that I just love music so much that it's hard not to be on stage just kind of being able to like have that good time, so it's a bit of a tease, kind of staring down into the future, waiting to see if something's going to happen. But I certainly hope, I'm hoping this all gets better, not just for music reasons, quicker.
Yeah, exactly. And so of course the summer dates that were booked, some of them have already been postponed, but we're still holding on hope for a lot of the other ones. So I guess everybody just kind of keep track and.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
we'll play that by ear for sure.
yeah, exactly. So somebody's asking, where was the video shot? That was Nashville's bar in Winnipeg, Manitoba.
What hotel is it attached
the
to?
Canada Inns Transcona.
Canada Inns. Yeah. Which does not look like a Canada Inns Transcona bar.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but we played there. We played there a bunch. We've been playing there since, when was the first time we played there?
Maybe 2017 or something.
That night was sold out, and to point out a few things in that, I borrowed a guitar from our friend Brad Bailey, and it's a fancy Paul Stanley PS10 Ibanez with gem rhinestoned out, and it just happened to be that night that I played it that Dave managed to catch that in the song, and it's like it turned out great. So I got to say thank you to Brad for loaning us that. I usually play my Prestige guitar, but I just happened to be playing it for that night, and it sure looks good on camera.
Sparkly guitar.
It sounds great too.
Wrong, yeah.
It does. Yeah, looks awesome.
And hey, some of that footage, Shane, you took on your GoPro, right?
Yeah, I had a GoPro like to the left of me behind, so I think some of those wide angles you saw from behind were. Is that correct, Dave?
Oh yeah, totally. Shane, I use a ton of your GoPro stuff, man. That was a great go-to shot. Like, there's a ton of it. So we had the two Canons, the Sony, the Auto, and then your GoPro. So yeah, that was a great cutaway shot. It was
pretty amazing. The
more angles you have, the better. And it was kind of like a fly by the seat of my pants sort of thing. That music video was kind of like, well, hey, I've got all these cameras. Like, why don't we, why not just use everything and just kind of the more the merrier and just kind of go for it. And then, and then the first night I did a bunch of, slow-mo stuff on the Sony, just handheld, and just kind of get that in the can and just kind of do, really, cool artsy shit. And then, the second night was more focused on just like, again, the performances and everything. And then it just, I cut it all together and it just kind of fell into place. And
I love the bass.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
To be fair, we have to point out that Corey ended up, mixing and all the audio that Corey,
oh gosh, yeah.
finished.
Like Howard sent Corey the tracks, and it's
as opposed to just. I mean,
turned out really great.
I'm assuming you didn't fix too much. I don't want to be like, it's more just kind of tweaking than it is actually like repairing everything, I suppose.
Well, I re-sang the whole lead vocal.
No wonder it sounds so good.
Yeah. No, actually, there was nothing to fix.
Yeah,
it was as it was.
The quality of it is great, I think.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you guys can't tell, but of course, if you saw this on any reference monitor, it looks a little different than what you're viewing on your cameras there. And somebody says it looks like you guys are the Brady Bunch, so they just want to know, can you do like the look around, in the circles,
Yeah.
It's like the Hollywood Squares Toque edition. Somebody said, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly what it feels like.
So what's next for the next? Yeah, what's the next
Hollywood
couple of weeks
Square.
look like? Just hanging out?
Probably
Write more-
TV and probably write some more songs. Probably Shane will record drums in his house. Corey will make the music in his house, and then we'll eventually try and get together and at some point. I mean, hopefully this thing gets lifted, not just for music reasons, but because we're all going to go crazy eventually. So, but I would very much like to kind of be in a room together and be able to kind of like, jam and record and complete some ideas.
Putting the ideas together on camera, looking at each other this way, there's something productive about it, but I think the human element of actually being next to each other and vibing off each other too is missing, and it's hard. It's hard
Yeah,
to.
I mean, once the technology's advanced enough, we wouldn't even have to leave our houses. You could just like have a big screen at Nashville's in Winnipeg, and we'll just be in here playing and good night, and then
Save a fortune on
go
travel.
to bed,
Yeah.
And also, half the fun is being together and reacting off each other, and
Exactly.
just being involved. So to me, it's the clinicalness and the coldness of just kind of doing what we can. I think that it's awesome that we can be productive, but it is always better to be together and laugh and sort of react in those moments.
So an unknown spectator here, Kathy K. Kennedy, I believe is how you pronounce it.
Never heard of
Oh,
Never heard of
unknown.
who's
Yeah,
that?
her only comment is Lee Ren rocks. I don't even know what that has to do with anything.
Lee Ren.
Lee Ren is
Loaded question.
That's
Wow,
right.
how Iron Maiden has Eddie, Toque has Lee Ren. If Eddie was to Iron Maiden, a free loading. That's what Lee Ren is.
Didn't we
Just
call?
kidding.
He's not our
Yeah.
security guard. He's our insecurity guard.
He's my insecurity guard. Nice, and I feel thank you. I pay him about $30,000 a month, but it's totally worth it.
No, you sang great tonight, Todd. You sang great.
I'm like, it didn't feel that great. You did great. You know what? I was talking to Mike over there, and he said you sounded great. I'm like, Mike, okay.
Oh, I've
I
got
don't know
that
who
picture
Mike
to
is,
share
but
here,
that-
Brent.
okay,
It's
well,
coming on screen here. Yeah.
What?
Okay.
Why does this
because
picture
it was a
exist?
very
Do we
long
wanna
day
talk about
down
this
at
photo?
the pump house when we were shooting the video, and as you had mentioned, Lee's got a side.
Oh, is it the one
project,
with the wrench?
That,
Oh, man.
he's been working on some stuff for. So we've got this picture up. Yeah.
Perfect.
So it's on screen now. So you can.
Are you showing it? Oh God.
That's Lee. He's our insecurity
Yeah,
guard.
exactly.
Lee, you're welcome.
Lee was just thrilled to be in that photo.
Mhm.
God, he's the best. Lee's the best. He was there. He was
Oh,
there when
yeah.
we're making the video.
Oh, he
Freezing
was-
with us.
Where is Lee? Is he in Vegas now, or is he up in
No,
Winnipeg?
I think he's in prison.
Lori Menzak says, yes, create a mascot. She obviously hasn't seen, right?
Yeah, there he
There you
is. What's his
I'm
name?
blurry.
again?
Well, yeah,
Background.
they can't see the blur, but that's Uncle Hoser.
That guy, though. Uncle
Yeah.
Hoser, that's right. He comes out and throws things
Special
at people.
events, special
Not
events,
gifts,
yeah.
like, yeah.
He's
at
been
special
working-
events. You'd think it'd be
Well,
gifts
and
and stuff. But
he made a
just literally-
T-shirt cannon last summer. And he's been dying to use it.
There you go.
Yeah,
So
when's that gonna
again,
come
we gotta
out?
hope for these festival dates because I was thinking of getting one that we could use hockey pucks and such, but that probably wouldn't be.
Face masks at the door.
The 2 hockey pucks. It's a great souvenir. Sign your disclaimer on the way in.
You better make
Yeah,
them
Tuesday.
fun.
That's
Yeah.
great. Well, gentlemen,
Awesome.
Am I the only person that's crying right now because there's no
I
hockey
think
right
everybody is. Yeah.
You know what? Apparently they've been playing classic games. I don't have regular cable anymore. I live in the Corey Churko future, so I don't know what's going on. But they play classic games, I hear, and everybody's telling me, dude, I'm watching the Oilers versus, and I'm like, oh wow, where's that? You know, yeah. So yeah, that's
why I'm growing up my beard, because I'm waiting for someone to win the cup.
James Curtis. Anybody know James Curtis?
Yeah, I know James Curtis. We all know. Me and Fitz know James. He's from Texas.
Great merch as well, guys. Love the hockey jerseys.
Yeah, well, that's the guy right there, Darren Steen.
Now I get my plug here.
Point to your right, Corey.
There you go. Black Frog Media. It is great.
Darren, for everything you do.
Yeah, Darren, you are
making
kind of
this meeting available to us and everyone to ask questions.
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, just you know, I guess we're all sitting home waiting, and we'll see what comes about. So, what else do you guys have to say? Well, we've got questions? Some. Somebody's saying, "Oh, we need." What do we got? When is Toque planning to play outside of Canada?
As soon as someone invites us, that'd be great. We'd love to. I mean, honestly, because we're so focused on this situation we're in right now, once we're past this particular chapter, then we can all start thinking about when we can play. Because I'm ready to play. Let's do it.
Yep.
Play wherever and whenever. Yeah.
And I think once we get our some original tunes out too, then you know it's not so much just a Canadian thing. It can be for us to go anywhere and promote Toque stuff wherever we go.
Further that, somebody's asking, do you guys ever have any creative differences, and how do you resolve them?
Naked tickle fights. I always win.
You got the longest arms, that's why.
Arms, yeah, we'll go with that.
I think what makes us so unique is that we all have the almost exact same upbringing. So all the melodies that are jammed in our heads are similar. We all hear the same things. We all grew up playing the same stuff. So there are very few disagreements when it comes to anything creative. Now, as to hairstyles, skin lotion, skin products, that sort of thing, that's different. But
undergarments.
I think there's just enough nuance,
lack of undergarments,
to give it, this bigness, largeness. I think that the music so far is what's come together is it's amazing because like you said, we all come from the same place, but there's just enough nuance to make it interesting.
I would agree with that. Yeah, Shane's absolutely correct.
And I think what's great is everybody's career, even though we all kind of knew each other, weren't all in the same bands together many, many years ago, but we all respected each other. And, I remember when I was playing in Canada, and then I knew that Shane moved to LA. That was like, wow, that dude left and he went to Hollywood. And I was like so impressed. And then I ran into Corey at a show when I was on tour in the mid 2000s. I think you were playing with Kelly Clarkson. And I just remember that everybody in Canada was like, yeah, that guy Corey from Moose Jaw, he plays with Shania and he plays with all these great artists. And Todd and I have crossed paths since we were like our late teens, but Todd was always like the best singer in every band that, like for me, it was like, that's the best guy in Canada that I wished he was in my band. So I always had respect for, everybody that is talking here right now, but we all went and did a bunch of different things. We're all still friendly, but we just never played in the same band together. And then eventually, it's been many years now that we've been a band together, but it just turned into like we did some gigs for fun, some charity kind of things, and it just kind of really gradually turned into like we like each other. We have a lot of the same, background and experiences. We all live in the States, but we're all proud Canadian dudes, and that's why we don't really argue, and we kind of have a lot of the same things we like and agreeing things about music, and it just kind of works. It's not not
Exactly.
complicated.
Polite Canadian could easily lead to hockey fighting, which is
always a way to
That's
resolve
totally
something.
acceptable.
you reach
Here's the thing.
over, you
We
reach
definitely
over,
don't
you
agree on
pull,
our sports teams.
yeah, you reach over, you pull the shirt over the head, and then you get under like that. That's how it's
So we're getting a lot of people on here
devastating.
that are saying new to the band, love the stuff, may or may not know the history. And then this kind of ties into a question that we've got a number of times here. It's no secret that you guys also play in a lot of other big bands, touring the world, and getting to do that. And at one point, all four of you actually were playing with Slash, featuring Miles Kennedy and the Conspirators. A number of questions came in saying, "What do your other bandmates think about Toque and the material?" So in your case, Slash, Miles, Shania, Bees. What are these? Have these guys heard it? Do they like it? Do they into it?
Well,
support it?
Actually, one of the biggest reasons that Corey came in to fill in for Frank Sador is it was actually Slash who brought it up. He was, what about your guy from Toque? He got a real kick out of it. I gave him the CD one day, and that's a compact. I gave him the CD, and I don't know if he's ever going to listen to it. He's a busy guy, and he literally he got in his vehicle, drove, and then as soon as he got home, which was probably a half hour later or 20 minutes later, he texted me and go, "Is this Fantasy by Alda Nova?" Yeah, I'd already explained to him these are Canadian cover songs, and me and Fitz and some friends got together, and then he goes, and he kept commenting on how great it sounded and the guitar and all that kind of stuff, and so when it actually came down to our guitar player Frank had to go home, he had some health stuff at home that he had to deal with. And then, so he actually brought Corey up, even though we would have brought Corey up anyway. But he sort of said, "Hey, what about your Toque guy, who happens to live in Los Angeles, 5 minutes away from where we work?" So that worked out well. So that right there. And the same thing when Fitz went down, it just became well, what about your guy from Toque? So then Shane Gallus is suddenly on the drum kit at the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville, Tennessee on day one. And I'm like, damn, dude, that was a good time.
3 days notice or something like that, Shane?
Yeah.
Maybe two. Yeah.
Well, Shane, you're not used to playing in front of that many people, right? Coming from the biggest band in Japan,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Shane has played in bigger crowds than all of us combined, I think.
Yeah, on a regular night, there's 60,000 people at the Tokyo Dome or something like that. It's ridiculous. And they do multiple nights at the Tokyo Dome. It was crazy.
Yeah, so...
Actually, you guys love Toque as well, especially Koshi.
No way.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, and we see that too. I mean,
Corey,
just given your addition to this band, even just looking at people that are tuning in now and the orders that we get for the music, a lot of it's being shipped over there. And I mean, I don't think any of these bands have ever broken through, to the point where they would have been doing the same. I mean, I think a lot of these bands that you guys are covering are still unknown to a lot of the world, and you guys are helping bring that there. I think that was part of the reason you started this as well, correct?
Which was part of the manifesto to begin with, was the whole idea of, wouldn't it be cool if somebody in Japan liked a song by the Queen City Kids or Street Heart that would have never possibly heard it? Japan, South America, Australia. And that has absolutely happened. And I'm like, wow, it's so cool that somebody from South America likes a song by Orphan that we covered, that otherwise they probably never would have heard in this lifetime. So
well,
that kind of was the whole thing.
I'm sure all of you guys can attest to this too. I mean, playing music in Canada, even up until the early 2000s, it meant your audience was strictly above the border. I mean, it was either that or some select bands had the opportunity to break through into the U.S., your Bryan Adams, Loverboy. But for the most part, before the internet, a lot of these bands were never heard of. I mean, even outside of province, right?
But that's true in Finland or Australia or wherever. There's different bands in different countries that their specific audience is right there. You know what I mean? And we may not be aware of them. So I think Canada has that as well, like specifically Canadian music, and the last two records was sort of built on the idea of bands that we grew up and loved, and in many ways we were very sort of specific about the ones that didn't really get that much notice. We did do an April Wine song or a Loverboy song or a few of those kind of songs that were universally well known, but that was more just kind of like we thought some of those. But largely it's sort of more focused on bands that were specifically Canadian phenomenons to us anyway.
Right.
Hey, Corey, Shania Twain definitely likes the record too, right?
Oh, well, I mean, I've been at parties with her where we just Canadian playlist. And in fact, I remember sitting around a campfire with an acoustic guitar trying to remember Innocence. way before Toque was even a thing. And going, man, what is that keyboard line? And trying to figure out that minor chord. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, she's a big fan of that stuff already. She's played probably most of the Toque set list in her days playing bars when she was a kid. And I know she's a huge fan of you and Todd because she actually came to see us with Slash in Switzerland for the Montreux Jazz Festival.
And you were playing guitar with us that night.
Yeah, I was playing guitar and she came backstage and she was just blown away at the show. So she's a huge fan. Absolutely.
Well, that's nice to hear. We love Shania.
Corey, I think what was funny though was at the end of the night, Slash had met Shania afterwards, right?
Yeah.
I think you had, after our show, we all were on the tour bus and leaving, and you had said something to Slash like, "Hey, that was really cool. Thanks for saying hi to Shania." And what did he say? Something like, "What do you mean?
What was she doing there?"
I went up to him when I was on the bus and I said, I said, Slash, thanks a lot for photo and visiting with Shania. And he looked at me kind of weird, like, you're welcome. And I thought it was kind of odd that he kind of looked at me like he was confused at what I was thanking him for doing that. And then I went to the top of the bus and came back down later for something. And then he goes, "Hey, did you play with Shania Twain?" And that's when I realized he didn't know. He didn't put it together that she was there, to see the Slash show, but that I was the reason that she got backstage. And I mean, obviously she didn't need me to get backstage, but
or that you were.
Yeah, but I
you were her musical director.
Yeah,
exactly. I jumped in with a picture with Slash and her, and he probably thought I was just being a real dick, like photobomb, jumping in with Shania Twain and Slash, not realizing that she's my friend.
He doesn't always retain that kind of stuff. Like, I'm sure somebody at some point might have mentioned that you play with Shania Twain. I'm sure he's like, oh, okay, whatever. It's like all he knows is that you play in Toque. That's the important thing.
That's what I mean. He probably didn't qualify you when he thought about you to come, fill in on guitar. That you probably not. There was no Shania Twain mention. It was just, I like what I like the guy.
It was all because of Toque. Yeah,
you're correct with his story.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, actually. Because usually your pedigree is what gets you more gigs, right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't my Shania pedigree. It wasn't my Kelly Clarkson credits. It was Toque that got me into the Slash.
And for Shane, obviously Slash is friends with the Bees guys in Japan and recorded with them and whatnot. So, and again, it was just more like, well, Shane's in the Bees, and played with Michael Schenker. I think we mentioned Michael Schenker. Slash loves Michael Schenker. That's way cool, Shane, that you toured with Schenker.
Wasn't Koshi on the first Slash solo album on a Japanese printing or something like that?
Yeah.
It was a bonus track.
Yeah. So he knows those guys. Yeah.
That's cool.
Got Koshi's been to his studio maybe, or they did it at NRG or something. But they hung out.
They probably did it at Barefoot in Hollywood.
You know what? I think that's what.
Eric's place, Eric Valentine. Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody said I had to bring you back into the feed, Shane. I think you got some sort of autofocus or something on your camera, so it keeps dropping you out. But so bear with us, folks. This is Toque Talk Tuesday edition 1. We're like the Simpsons, we come out really crappy, and then we'll hit our peak, and then we'll just stick around longer than we need to.
Yeah, exactly. 25 years later, we're still here.
Completely irrelevant and not humorous at all anymore.
Hey,
We should try. I
I
gotta
didn't
say
say
it, though.
that. There is.
We got to try to find a way to play. I think that would be cool, guys. I got to say, it's when I see Jimmy Fallon and they do those little vignettes with everybody. That latest one with Sting was so good.
Yeah.
I think those are recorded separately, though, aren't they? They have to be. They
Yeah.
can't be doing that.
They're great.
We could all try playing live, but it actually probably would be pretty amusing how out of sync our playing would
Totally.
be.
I'll start.
That's the problem. People don't understand that there's a sync problem going on, that the time between me and everybody else is it's all out of whack. So trying to play together is, when you see people doing that, it's probably been pre-recorded. Like the drums are sent and then we start putting stuff on top of it. There's been a few.
Well, that and the
amusing
fact
ones
that I think the
going around.
internet is probably
This is our
being
chance.
used a lot more now that everybody's at home and has nothing to do. So, of course, you look at even things like Netflix, who
Yeah.
have reduced the quality of
It
their
makes-
video because
makes
of
it
the
harder.
fact that, you get millions more streaming it all the time. So,
Exactly.
This is our chance to redo Tears Are Not Enough, guys. Come on.
As every day goes by, can we close our eyes? I can do it myself.
Hey, Shane. And now our innocence is lost. I think Burton sang.
Yeah, it was Gordon Lightfoot. It goes Gordon Lightfoot, Burton Cummings, and then Anne Murray. So you just kind of like bang, bang, bang. 3 huge Canadian superstars off the top of that song. Most people
That's
are going,
right,
what the
yeah.
hell is Tears Are Not Enough?
What are
from?
you talking about? Yeah.
Tears Are Not Enough was the We Are the World, Do They Know It's Christmas, but Canadian style, all the Canadian heroes at the time. It's an 80s song too, so you got a lot
Ryan
of specific...
Adams, Anne Murray,
Corey Hart,
Lightfoot, Corey
Geddy
Hart.
Lee, Geddy Lee
Neil Young.
Thrush.
yeah,
Yeah,
was it
Neil
Neil
Young
Young, the one
led-
where they told him to, change his vocal stylings and he refused?
Yeah. I mean, I think he just kind of sort of, he just sort of
That's-
sung out of
that's
key.
his thing, right?
That's the sound.
Geddy Lee was awesome. Geddy
Yeah.
was awesome.
Geddy Lee. There's a lot of cool people. Mike Reno from Loverboy. He kills it on that.
So 2 things to watch: Fubar and Tears Are Not Enough.
There's actually a great making of Tears Are Not Enough that I watched recently too. It's like a whole like documentary type thing about it, as produced by David Foster, the famous producer. Well,
You know what's great is when Frank Sidoris first joined the Slash band, poor Frank had spent way too many hours in the back of the bus with Todd Kearns and Brent, the 2 Canadians. And for some reason, all this stuff would randomly come into our psyche and we'd like subject it to him. But I'm pretty sure Frank can sing and play many Queen City Kid songs now and knows the whole Tears Are Not Enough song.
How do you think Frank got so good?
Sandy watching live right now says, yeah, it's about time maybe you guys should come up with a new one and, support the frontline workers. It's probably not a bad idea.
yeah, that's
Great
Yeah,
idea.
totally.
absolutely.
Bad
I
idea.
can't imagine. I
you.
can't believe people got to be out there working in this. It's terrifying. I really worry about people just having to be like hands on in this thing. I can't imagine. It's terrifying enough going to the grocery store.
Yeah.
As you imagine.
The one of us who's spent the most time over in Asia, living and playing over there, and the whole idea of wearing, a mask is not uncommon over there, right? And it's just not a North American thing. And like I've been going to the stores in the last week here, and I'm wearing my mask just because it's a kind of a respect thing. I feel good about it. I feel safer, I guess. But I know
I wear this one here. I usually wear. It seems to work at the best. This one's falling.
as long as you're not getting
It's not
sneezed
uncommon
on,
in
yeah,
Winnipeg.
whatever.
People are
No, but,
always going into stores with masks on, whether there's a virus or not,
Yeah. And a handgun. Just kidding.
Ski
Just
mask.
kidding.
Well, they're usually wearing a balaclava. Yeah.
Yeah.
With a Glock.
No, but it's true. Like I remember Shane when we went up and did the TeleMiracle, you were already on it before all this went crazy. You already had a mask, and I thought, well, that's because Shane has been over to has played so many years over and Corey, you've been over there many times too. Todd and I have played and we were just in China,
Absolutely.
and you know, we were wearing our masks. I remember we were on the Great Wall. I was wearing my mask the whole time. So maybe it's a good thing that there's a lot more common seeing people and not thinking they're going to get robbed, but people protecting and being, you know, it's a health thing. So not to get all, you know, medical here on the show, but it's actually, it's been cool. Like I've been going to the grocery store and noticing that everyone's wearing a mask. So
Yeah, I mean, it's mandated now. You have to wear a mask here anywhere you go out.
No, it's amazing how far this has gone, how serious this has become as time's gone by. Because it's, you know, it starts off, you know, from the beginning of this thing to where we are now. It's just kind of like, wow, okay, you don't need to wear a mask now. You probably should wear a mask. You know, it's amazing how seriously we've had to take this now, and I think it's for the best. You know, I think it's, you know, hopefully this all passes by as quickly as possible, and we can get back to, you know, I'm trying not to. I keep telling my friends, I go, don't feel bad if you're not being productive. There's nothing wrong with sort of kicking back and taking a break, because the rat race is going to fire up, and you're going to be sitting there in traffic going,
Totally.
and you go, you know what? I got to sit at home for a month. I'm happy to be sitting in traffic, having to go to work and make money for my family. So, buddy, and I really worry about everybody's sort of, you know, because it's got to be tough. It's got to be tough for anybody who's, you know, wondering where that next check's going to come from. And we're all in the same boat. We can't do this forever. Hi, Len.
Hi, Len.
where's my drink? Lynn, where's my
Can't hear
drink?
Lynn,
you.
where's
I
our
got the
drink?
headphones on, yeah.
Is that
Yeah,
a glass
you're
of
live.
wine?
So Inger says
you're
she
live.
thanks you
Hey,
guys because
but really quickly, Darren, are you day drinking?
no, it's actually
Is it, what time is it there?
So yeah, it's okay.
And you're drinking. It's a glass of
I
wine
think
at
your boss
5:20
has an
p.m.
album called 5 o'clock somewhere, doesn't he? Or is it?
Now is
It
that?
is,
But is that
it
the
is,
first
yeah,
drink of
yeah.
the day, or is that? Oh, okay. Okay. I'm just making sure.
Police, you're watching the watchers. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Inger said we are way more Canadian now, apologizing if we get too close to people. So I guess a lot of people have you guys to thank, you know, teaching these Canadian mannerisms around the globe.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Mike Myers says in his book. He has a book called Canada, which is really very Canadian, as you can imagine. But he calls it when two Canadians get to the door, it's called a Canadian standoff, where it's kind of after you.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel that all the time. Although the English always claim that they're pretty perpetually apologetic as well, which I think is, you know, it's not a bad way to be. That you're kind of like, oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry.
You're absolutely right. Brent, everybody's asking about the coffee mug. What do you got in there? What kind of coffee are we drinking these days?
This is a gift from a friend of mine. It came right from Colombia, so it's probably some Juan Valdez-y kind of
Good
pretty
stuff.
strong. Yeah, I make it with a French press at home, so
What's
that's
on the
my
cup?
most
I
important.
can't see. You're in a very small thing where.
It's a
Oh, is it Toque?
Toque mug.
Toque. It's Toque.
Those were a limited run because
Very
they
honored.
don't ship well.
No, I know.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's dangereux.
Can't you make them out of Tupperware?
That would be great, right? We made it.
It'll last forever.
Can we partner up with Tupperware?
Yeah.
That'd be a great cross promotion.
Tupperware still around? Sounds like a very
I don't
my
know.
childhood or something.
They
Everything-
did, yeah, whatever the Tupperware.
If
I
you have
think
a
they were
Tup-
bought.
Yeah.
I think they were
No,
bought
we
by
picked it
Schnucks.
up. We're redistributing it now via
Oh, what?
Cantel.
Exactly.
Right.
But that stuff still tests the test of time, man. Like I have Tupperware from like way back, and it's still.
I know, right?
Well, that's if you can find them. I think
Loose
that's
or
somebody
everything.
once said. It's actually Tupperware's the fucking lid. You know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. The lid's the first thing to go. You're like, damn it.
It's,
No, exactly.
I actually got a spanking because of Tupperware.
Yeah.
You want to hear my story?
What?
oh,
Yeah.
You know what? I've apologized a million times for that spanking.
So when I was 3, I had this light blue Tupperware cup that was my preschool cup that I'd drink, you know, when we had snacks at preschool. And
Juice.
during the summer, my family and I went camping, and there was a really swift-moving river beside our campsite. And I remember people saying, "Yeah, the water's so clean you can just drink from it, without any filtering." So I had my Tupperware cup, and I put it down into the river, and it was so fast-moving that it just shot right out of my hand. Right, it was like rapids, and because I love that cup so much, I jumped into this fast-moving river to try and grab it. It was already like a mile down and my dad grabbed me just at the last second, and he gave me a spanking because I teach me not to jump in after my Tupperware cups.
Wow.
Was that like the flange kind of cup that came in like multiple colors? Kind of. I know.
Yes, flange lip.
The sippy cup.
Flange lip. Yeah.
Wow.
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 Well,
My parents still have every piece of Tupperware that we had as kids. My parents never threw anything out. So
And the big
There you
cookie,
whenever I go home,
the big
it's a
cookie
flashback.
cups were like push it down. It kind of had like a pattern there, and it was like, but that stuff lasts forever, man.
It does, yeah. It will outlive us. You know, at the end of the Planet of the Apes, when it's the Statue of Liberty, they should have replaced that with a Tupperware cup. It's like, oh, you blew it up. Damn you all to hell.
So Tiffany from the Prairies, who also I believe is part of the Toque Club on Facebook. You guys check it out. Her question is, if you guys could walk into a room and only have to listen to one song every time you walk into the room, what would it be?
It's Raining Men. That's my go-to.
Super free.
Woman in Love by Barbara Streisand.
Ooh.
I actually really like that song.
Some Jets of Satellite, best one did I.
Hopelessly Devoted to You by Olivia Newton-John.
Dave gets a plug in there, yeah.
Yeah. Thinking that Dave's just like, that's Gene Simmons thinking there. Boom, self-promoting. Always.
Oh, come on.
I love it.
I'm not thinking that way at all. I'm just having
That's
fun.
exactly it. Well, I mean, if anybody was down at the video shoot, I'm sure they wouldn't say never enough for you, because after we all left that day, I think we didn't.
Yeah. We don't even want to hear that song for a long time.
That was a long day, man.
Yeah.
Like, you guys were such. That's a. I remember like it was like almost 1 a.m. I'm just like,
Another
and
time.
John's
Let's
like,
go another time.
Hold on.
And it was cold.
Like I have no
It was
idea.
chilly.
Give me like a few more takes, doing those like up top shots, and we did them, and they turned out well, and it's I can't express how much I know I'm sure you wanted to punch me in the face by the end of it, but I was like, I know what I wanted to get and kind of.
Just Corey did. I had to hold him back. I was like, oh, dude.
I was very low on blood.
Yeah.
My blood sugar was very low.
I know.
Once I had an apple, then I had a few more in me.
Exactly. Delia was bringing you guys fruit sets, apples and shit and everything.
Delia.
But
Delia.
between you and I, Dave, I wonder who's heard the song the most times. Between me mixing and you doing the video editing on this stuff.
I think I have for sure.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Well, the best was when we had it playing to the cowbell click track. That was the best. We had the Will Ferrell donk 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 going all day long.
And you know what? I'm still not sick of it. I hear and it still raises the hairs on my arm. Excited. I want to flip a table. It's a
it incites violence in you. I love that. Wow.
just really,
Hey Todd, didn't you demo the vocal like in your living room?
Yeah, Corey came over and we just did it in my house. And then I guess I re-sang it. Did I re-sang? Yeah, I guess I must have re-sang it. Yeah.
No. We actually used everything that you sang. Except for I think a bridge. I got you to recut a couple of things in my studio here, but everything else was Todd singing in his living room in Vegas. And I actually have a picture that I should post of that session.
Yeah.
wow.
You guys, that's where the magic happens. So just anybody's welcome to come over to my house and sing in my living room. I charge about $5. Otherwise, stay out of my house.
It is funny though how resourceful we are. As if you look back on how we made records, we usually made records late at night or during the day or in between making other things. And, you know, Shane, you'd cut drums at your studio. Corey, you'd work on stuff at your house. I remember on the first record, we kind of like had a 1 or 2 day window, and we had 2 studios at once going. Remember, Corey? We were doing drums in the other, and nothing was like, oh, we're going to make a record over, you know, 3 or 4 months. We kind of like cram these things in, and Todd sings stuff in his living room, and then it ends up being a keeper, and then it ends up staying on a record, and you know, and then we make a video for it, and then you kind of go, wow, that we didn't overthink a lot of that.
Yep.
We just did it, and that's how we're going to do all the new stuff. We'll just make it work.
Gosh, yeah. I mean, that's the beauty of the whole situation. Is it's like there's often a lot of thought spent on like what kind of, you know, this to use or that to use or where to do things, and often I think we kind of like psych ourselves out. And I think Corey's pretty good at like, let's just do this right here. I'm like, in my living room. Okay.
Bruce Kulick just chimed in. He says, "I caught you guys. $5. Come on, $2 at most."
Bruce Kulick, ladies and gentlemen.
Bruce.
Everybody's saying hi to Bruce.
He's the best.
Derek Williamson, hi from Thunder Bay. Yeah, represent.
Thunder Bay. Woo!
Darren's from Thunder Bay.
Darren's from Thunder Bay. That's right. Yeah,
he is.
I got a lot of friends from Thunder Bay.
Is it
I
in
played
The
there.
in-town is now a parking lot.
Paul Schaefer's from Thunder Bay.
Yeah,
Oh,
Is it really? Wow.
Oh.
probably for good reason. They often say that anybody, if you grew up going to the in-towner, you're immune to this virus, so you're all good, you know.
Exactly. The terrible things you've done to yourself will just save you from that.
Let's put a question to the audience. What? Because I need some new binge material. I'm already working into this Survivor seasons and Amazing Race.
Wow.
So everybody give their one binge thing they recommend.
Yeah, good.
And I've
good
already
question.
seen Joe Exotic,
Yeah,
Tiger King.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Did
We've all
you
seen
see
that.
that last night? There was a TMZ, I think, extra special about Tiger King.
Yeah, I heard about it. Yeah. It negates
Yeah,
a lot of the things that were reported or something?
Yeah, we taped it. Chrissy and I watched it, but of course we already been through Tiger King. But now we want to see this. There's like an add-on to it. So if I don't know if you can search that out, but so Tiger King is fascinating.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
I got to admit, I didn't even
I'm
think to
actually-
watch it because I thought it would be
Never
boring,
seen
and
it.
then I just
Yeah.
had to watch it because I needed to know what everybody was talking
no.
about. So, and then like anything, you just
I'm
I don't
like
know.
one of those.
get
I'm such a-
addicted. Somebody's saying Ozark.
I saw the
Ozark
trailer.
is a
like,
popular one coming
ahead.
up.
Yeah, Ozarks. Ozarks.
Yeah,
I'm
I
gonna
love
do
that.
Ozark.
Awesome.
Schitt's Creek.
Jason Bateman, yeah, it's great.
Schitt's Creek.
Really good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Canadian,
Eugene Levy.
represent there too.
Cool.
Netflix Coffee and Kareem movie. Coffee and
What's it?
Kareem. I think we saw that. That's
Wait, there.
Coffee and
Yeah, I think it's a
Kareem. That
comedy
sounds
that's
familiar.
on
I haven't
there.
seen that.
Bruce, I see Bruce Kulick comment. Do not mention Tiger King. Come on, Bruce. Of course,
Yes,
mention Tiger King.
Bruce Kulick
Ridiculous.
doesn't have Netflix. He's not allowed to talk about nothing.
What is Tiger King all
Tigers.
about? What's the fill me on the soul?
Just watch it.
It's honestly,
watch it.
Dave, it's the most normal thing you've ever heard of. No, it's actually the most craziest thing, and it's crazier and crazier and crazier every episode. Basically, somebody that happens to own large cats is only the smallest premise that I can tell you. Is that it's a guy who owns large cats, and it's just insane. Yeah, colorful characters, totally insane.
I love it.
yes.
And you know what's the best part is his music, of which that's not.
Oh,
You know this? That's not him singing. Did you know that?
Oh no!
He
Oh, are
hired-
you serious?
He hired.
I knew it.
There's two different guys,
Yeah.
but then you like there are apparently two different guys who sang those songs, and you're like, oh my God! Of course he hired.
His voice is so much smaller, like his talking voice.
Yeah, he's got
And
this
then all of a
cow.
sudden
Well,
it's
Corey, you
bust.
can't judge a book by its
Yeah.
cover. We all heard you about 45 minutes ago there, and you never know what's going to come out of somebody. But we also heard Todd, your live
It's
version
bananas.
of Tiger King on Facebook a couple of weeks ago.
I had that song stuck in my. Is that? And I go, that's that silly tiger song. I saw a tiger, and a tiger saw a man. And I was like, what does that even make sense? What is this even about? Like, who spends I spend all my time with tigers, and then all I do is write songs about tigers. It's like, it's so crazy. I'm like,
Man,
wow.
I am.
Well, hang on.
something
Maybe
big here.
if
I need
we
to check it
ask
out.
nicely, Todd will give us a little acapella.
Yeah, Todd, do it.
I don't have any.
No,
I don't have
just
an
sing it.
acoustic handy, unfortunately.
Mindhunter. What's that?
Mindhunter
Lori
is
Lynn's
great.
Mindhunter.
Mindhunter
That's
is
a good one too.
Mindhunter killers. It's based in the 70s when they first came up with the term serial killer.
But it's not a
It wasn't-
documentary.
It wasn't even a term back then.
It has to be a good song because James Curtis says Todd sang that song and it was stuck in my head for a week. So there you go.
That's true.
Honestly,
It's true.
can't even remember how it goes right now.
I'm actually looking at the feeder. Yeah, there's a lot of good
Under
TV
Arrest, Shameless.
suggestions
Okay,
coming.
great.
Well,
I'll look back.
I'm watching right now. I've been watching this show called Kidding. It's a Showtime show. It's Jim Carrey's show, and he plays kind of he's like kind of a Mr. Rogers character, but his whole life is falling apart behind the scenes. So it's like this really, it's sort of darkly Jim Carrey-ish, but it's pretty entertaining so far. Yeah, season 2 just started, so I devoured season 1, and I'm gonna watch season 2. Well, we kind of started season 2, but it's pretty
Okay.
out there. Great cast. I've watched pretty much everything, so sad to say, I've watched a lot of stuff. Like, this is good. I'm kind of like the connoisseur of binge watching television and film, but
Well, you're
To some
smart too, Todd, because you've gotten rid of, I think, basic cable, right? So you don't have to worry
well,
about.
I came home from
CNN on your. On your
yeah,
TV.
no, I don't watch the news. The news is no fun. But yeah, I just kind of got rid of regular television, and it's always fascinating to me to actually see commercials once in a while when I go over to my parents' house or something. I go, oh wow. But yeah, it's like I got a couple of streaming things, and that's basically all I watch. Or if I want to watch a series, I find
Todd,
it and I watch that. And
Todd,
get on with
somebody
it.
on
The only thing I miss
Facebook,
is
Jamil
hockey,
says,
based.
"Hey Todd, if I recall, you were in a movie way back. You want to plug that for some home viewing?"
I thought this was a family show. We can't talk about pornography.
Oh,
Todd and his 6 feet of separation.
It's funny because no,
Long
they were
Todd
very
Silver.
Yeah, exactly. No, they were very short films. Very short. A lot of apologizing,
Crying.
weeping, quiet weeping in the fetal position. No, I was just talking to a friend of mine. A friend of mine, Ryan Robbins, was in this film. I was in a movie back in '97 called Horsey. It was a Canadian indie production, and a bunch of my friends who were actually
HS, by the way.
VHS.
You do.
Corey actually was in. Corey, before he went into Shania
Yeah.
Twain's.
I was going to share that story because you were actually in I got you in one of my
Short film?
student
Yeah.
films.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Wow.
So I was in a computer animation course, and one of the things we had to do is we had to write a story and film a live action sort of short story. And I did one on domestic violence. Bad guy who was beating his wife. So we were in a scene one day. Everything was really serious, and he's yelling at his wife, and then he starts hitting her, right? And
No,
I said,
that was
okay,
action.
action.
Let's just- I wasn't
Yeah.
really hitting
said-
anybody.
I said, okay, action. And he starts doing his thing, and then he goes, do, amazing. I said, but can we do it again without the sound effects?
You really do the
I
Yeah,
was
you're making the sounds. Do.
That's funny.
they were like Bruce Lee noises I was making. Like, I'd never acted any scene where you're like fighting. So it kind of, when I did it, it was basically just play fighting with my brothers in the backyard, kind of, And I was like, oh my God, I totally didn't realize I was doing it. So you know what? If I was ever in Star Wars or Star Trek and they gave me a phaser, I'd be going pew 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 every time. That's right. Yeah. And that's 30.
Knowing each other.
Yeah. And that's like 10 years of knowing each other. That's a long time ago.
I know.
Todd, what is the thing that keeps coming up? A few people have asked, they go, hey, we see you and Todd and Frank in a documentary about the rainbow. I haven't seen it yet, but I think you mentioned it.
Yeah, no, I was actually watching that. Somebody told me about all these music documentaries on Amazon Prime, so I just went down the Rainbow Bar and Grill on the Sunset Strip in Hollywood. There's a great documentary about that, and it's just kind of like I'm watching it, and out of nowhere, Slash has been in it multiple times already. Slash starts talking, and they show this footage of Brent, myself, Slash, and Frank just jamming, and I go, whoa, what? I rewind it and I go, and the funniest thing about it is it's the footage of Frank like trying. I'm like, where did this footage even come from? How did it end up in this movie? At Mates,
like back in February or something.
Was it a Super Bowl Sunday?
Yeah.
That would have had no relevance to me. I'm like, oh yeah, right, football. But
and Frank flew in from Toronto that day, so that's the footage. It's the day that we jammed with him. Wow. Yeah,
so it's just really quick. And then there's another one, a Sunset Strip documentary. We're in that. We're in a bunch of stuff. And then there's that Slash documentary, Born on the Sunset Strip or whatever it's called. That's out there. So people keep writing me every day with a picture going like, I saw you in this. Like 3 or 4 different like documentaries. And I'm like, oh, okay. It briefly go by. I bought them all on DVD in some form, or I've gotten them all on DVD, and I kind of put them in a pile somewhere, and I go, someday my grandkids will watch this in a medium that does not exist in their time frame. But these pieces of plastic, your grandfather's on these. And they'll be like, sure you are.
Well, somebody just commented, Lori Lynn said, I own Horsey on VHS and DVD.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah, see, we're crossing into these different formats.
Some Gene Simmons Family Jewels together too, Todd. We were on those TV shows with Bruce.
With Bruce Kulick, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, you can never get enough. So maybe if things get up and running this summer, Dave, maybe we'll have to film the documentary.
I'm totally game, man. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Whatever happened to that thing? Remember in Edmonton when we shot that thing for the documentary up there? Whatever happened with that?
That became a podcast. Remember that?
Oh yeah, but he filmed everything.
Yeah, I think he's probably eventually going to turn it into something as well. But that he turned it into a podcast, which was pretty cool actually. And that's a different thing.
You know what I like? Remember the day we were at the in the hotel in the gym? We were filming some stupid stuff. I don't know how it came about, but it was very impromptu. And next thing I know, we're working out on gym machinery.
in full leather
gym
jackets.
machinery.
Around Christmas, you guys were doing
gym machinery. Yeah.
All right.
So Todd,
that shit back,
see, normally at this time of the night I do my other podcast. It's called Whining with Darren. We just sit around and drink and complain about stuff.
I like that.
You know, we kind of got a mixed audience here. You know.
Exactly.
comes in, makes an appearance. You know.
Refills your glass.
Todd Lippke says, "Where's
All
Zach?"
commenting about coffee.
Yeah.
Well gone.
Todd's asking, "Where's Zach?" He should be on here too. I guess you guys want to fill in the honorary members that have kind of, as we talked about with Slash. I mean, we've had a couple of guys come and go and help out.
Zach has filled in a bunch. Zach, I've known Zach since '92. Zach is an amazing, talented guy and a lovely guy. We love him to death. He's filled in for Corey. Actually, he's filled in for Corey, and he's filled in for sometimes when Shane couldn't make the show, Brent would go back on the drum kit, and Shane would play bass, and Corey would play guitar. But so Shane's been in and out a few times.
You mean Zach?
Zach's been up a few times. Pete Thorne, legendary guitar player from well, he's from Edmonton originally, but he's a Hollywood icon.
You played with Chris Cornell.
Chris Cornell. Yeah.
Les Etheridge, I think, or something, was it?
Yeah. He's filled on a bunch of stuff. Who else? I think that's probably it. Just a sort of like
Neil played guitar.
Jeff Neal from Streetheart, and for us, I mean, we all grew up watching him play. So that was weird, but amazing. Yeah.
Spider on bass from Street Lover Boy.
Yeah.
Several gigs with us as well.
Spider's family, really.
That's right. Yeah.
Was the best.
Yeah.
So again, everybody's asking, when do we get a cross Canada tour? I guess some places in Canada are feeling a little left out, but I guess it's safe to say that, I mean, if people aren't familiar with how the music industry works, it's really not so much up to the band as it is up to the promoters and the booking agents that are, going to reach out to you guys. And I guess what would the advice be to somebody living in a city or a town right now that wants to see you guys come and play?
Okay, you're right. It would always kind of be whenever we put up like slash dates, it was always kind of like the immediate reaction would be people like, "How come you're not coming here?" And I'd always be like, "It's not like we've sort of decided to not go to your town. It's like that's never the case. It's sort of more a case of like, for whatever reason, venue wise or promoters or whatever couldn't make a deal happen, so we're not going to whatever town that is. So we want to be everywhere. We will play every single place on the planet if we can. It just is a matter of like making that happen and orchestrating that.
Really been good from Vancouver through to Winnipeg, and then we've really been trying to get into like Toronto. Now we've all played Toronto with our other bands, but as Toque, we haven't played there yet. So Toronto has been on the plan, and I know we actually have a gig booked, which I think is on hold. And there's a lot of gigs in other cities played that are on hold right now. But yeah, up until recently, we had a pretty good looking, May, June, July, August that had a bunch of gigs in places we hadn't played because we had definitely covered the prairies, playing lots in Winnipeg, and of course we got to play the TeleMiracle. That wasn't that long ago, guys. We just played together in
like a month ago or
March.
Yeah.
So that being said, to touch base on the TeleMiracle, because again, there's probably a lot of people that are unfamiliar outside of, that city or province. People don't realize what that was and how big of a deal was that for you guys to go back home and do that.
It was a really big deal for me and Corey and I. I mean, it's actually a big deal for all of us. We raised helped to raise like $5 million or something like that. It's like, it was staggering to imagine. But Corey and I both grew up in Saskatchewan, so we know it well. Like it's basically a local telethon in Saskatchewan, Canada. In Regina sometimes, in Saskatoon other times.
You both played it when you were younger.
Yeah, Corey played it when he was like 9. I played it when I was like 14. There it is. That's the 44th.
I've got a picture up on the screen of you guys and the entire cast at the TeleMiracle. So
that's amazing. Cool. That's so crazy. Yeah. Where did you play when you were on there, Corey? When you were a little boy?
I was in Saskatoon.
Oh. Okay.
I was 9 years old. Wow. I sang "Hit Me With Your Best Shot" and right back where we started from, and I had bright yellow cords for pants, and the biggest black little 9-year-old kid.
What's the second song?
Wow.
Right back where we started. Nightingale, I think.
Did no one? It never occurred to anybody to sing a guy song. I guess because you were a little kid, you had a high voice, so they just gave you.
Yeah, my voice hadn't changed, so.
Come on and hit me with the best shot.
I think we played in Regina at the School of Rock there for the kids.
In the original key.
Right.
We did.
I played on there. I played in like I was 14 or 13, something like that. I just played bass in this band.
Haha.
It was very surreal.
No, and you raised a lot of money, of course. So somebody says it was 5,572,000 to be exact. Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, and that's not the first time you guys have done something for charity. Corey, what was the event that we did a couple of months ago, or January, early January? You guys raised a bunch of money in your hometown. I think we just said. They back on now? We just had some a little bit of an audio issue there because some of you guys can't sit still. But yeah. So what do we say we? Yeah. Well, I guess we'll let you guys get back to doing what you're doing. Sitting in your house, and maybe we'll do this again. In a couple of Tuesdays, or whenever you guys feel comfortable. We'll do Toque Tuesdays at 2. Could be, yeah. Wow, we were thinking maybe we'll do some exclusive merch. So we'll do some Toque Talk tube tops. Yeah. It's slower. It's slower right now for sure. But of course, nothing's impossible. We're just doing it as we, we'll go out again, I try to go out as little as possible right now. So, like anything, we're just shipping it out in batches. So yeah, be a little more patient. But yeah, it is coming. So you can still order. Yeah, no, exactly. Well, I mean, yeah, let's make it a regular thing. I mean, it doesn't. Fantastic. Fantastic. All right, gentlemen. Well, it's been a great chat, and we almost hit 2 hours, which again sticks with our Toque Talk Tuesdays at 2 for 2. So let's reconvene, and we'll have lots more questions. Yeah, exactly. So and it's Todd Music. Awesome. Well, we're dropping quality. We can tell the time. We can tell the time of day. I mean, everybody's getting on. So that and I think my son just came home with a PlayStation, so he's hogging all the bandwidth. Yeah. All right, gentlemen.